would you look at that, goddamn. Oh my god, would you look at that, oh my god. Ooh, she got the air, look at them breathing in that air. Alright guys, so if you're following our VIP Chrysler 300 project, you know that we cut these hood vents in, and it was during the winter time, so I didn't want to go through and trim them out yet, just because, well, you know, there's adhesive inside these trim pieces, and you want it to stick right, which means you really need temperatures, you know, up in like the 70s or higher. So that's what I'm going to do today, is I'm going to go through and I'm going to add this trim. Now this is just that door trim, you know what I'm talking about, like this black trim that sometimes you put in these gaps for doors and trunks and stuff. Yeah, I put a strip in there. I wanted to see how it looked. So I'm going to do that around the edges here. Now what I'm hoping it does, I'm hoping it seals this off a little bit from moisture, and I'm hoping it looks a little better, right? So there are some issues that I know I'm not going to be able to cover up, where the cutoff wheel had jumped on me, okay? Talking about issues like this. So I do need to figure out what I'm going to do later for some of that, but right now I at least want to get this black trim on there, make it look a little better, make it look a little more presentable. So here's the plan. When I come up here, I want to keep the bottom probably more squared off, and then I want the top to be at a 45. Not that direction. At a 45, so that way when I get up to the corner it has a nice curve and goes that way. I tried to bend the test piece into place and it's just not quite doing it, okay? The angle is just a little too much. Looking back, when I cut these, if I would have just, you know, used like a drill bit in the corner and allowed them to be rounded, it might be a different story, but it is what it is, right? So that's the plan, is I'm going to trim this side out, and then over there we need to grab the intake that goes in here, the cone filter, kind of figure out where that's going to get mocked up, and maybe even wait until we mock it up to trim all that in. We can obviously do the lower one, do the upper one, and get everything looking a lot better. So that's the plan right now. Of course, nothing here is perfect. You can see cracks in the paint where I bent it and stuff. I'm not worried about that, okay? This is just a I don't want to say a test run, but this is just to, you know, a nice look for the Chrysler 300. And then if down the road, you know, we decide to redo that, I'll go out and buy another stock hood and just redo it from there. The big thing here is we wanted to use stock parts and really alter the look, right? So the stock front bumper, for instance, you know, instead of buying an aftermarket bumper, I cut the stock front bumper. Again, I went through and trimmed it out. You can see the black trim here. And then a HDPE lower lip. I am going to be adding a section to the front of this lip that drops down lower, and that's just so, you know, if it rubs the ground, it's whatever, but then I'm not smashing the whole, you know, front underneath of my car, because this is stock height. Well, this is a stock bumper, so this is stock relative to the rest of the car. In other terms, it's very close to the bottom of the car. And then obviously, you know, we cut the springs and dropped it a lot. So we got to keep that in mind, okay? So one thing we're going to do is, obviously we're going to, you know, use wheel spacers to bring that wheel out, but otherwise everything is stock. You know, the side skirts, if you haven't watched that video, those are $14 total. About $7 a side with screws and, you know, the rain gutters that they were used on there, and you can see how nice those came out. And again, this is with the idea that this is going to touch the ground, it's going to rub, and it's going to flex as we go down the road, okay? So I'm going to go get the tripod, and like I said, we're going to cut this. I'm using carpet shears. These are what I use from... All right, so real quick, let me just talk about marking materials. So again, you know, if I was doing upholstery, I went through a phase where I bought every kind of marking, anything you can think of. Chalks, colored pencils, including every single color in giant bulk, you know, oil pens and Sharpies and all of that. So I went over to my boxes and I kind of just took a little piece with me, and I went through and just test marked it to try to figure out what marked the best. What I found that marked the best was chalk. And it's not perfect and it's not great, but you can at least get a little mark on there, and then it wipes right back off, and that's kind of the key here. So this is going to let me hold this up here, and what I do is, you know, you kind of want to hold it off to the side so you can see, and make sure you're all the way up in that corner. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to mark where that cut needs to be. Now I'm actually going to go just a little bit long, and by a little bit I mean almost to nothing, and that's because you can always come back and readjust it. But here's your, there's just a little mark on there, and now I can take my scissors, line up 90 with that mark, snip it, and then when I set this piece down in there, I'm going to feed it in. So you're not going to press on it all weird. You want to kind of start to feed it, push it down in the gap, and it might get tight down in there. That's okay. And then we're going to check our alignment up top, and it looks like it's going to be very tight, but let's just see if we can get this piece in there. The second thing you can do is you kind of want to keep a razor blade on hand, because you can go in here and slightly trim out the end of one of these trim pieces and kind of get it to go down in there. So I'm going to press this down in. You can see that fitment's tight, but it's in there and it looks good, and everything's flush. Like I said, it looks nice. So the next thing I'm going to do is, for this other piece, is we need to get our other angle. I think it's a 45, but what we're going to do is we're going to cut it at what we believe is a 45 and come in here and just hold it up there and test it. You want that to be tight, so if you're cutting an angle more than 45, that's okay. Cut a bigger angle. It's going to have some flex in it, and that's okay. Your angle might actually be more than 45 by the time you take up mounting angle and stuff. I need more of an angle than that. Let's just get that angle in there. Ooh, that wasn't a straight cut, so let's redo it. Don't be afraid to trim and adjust. You want it to look nice, okay? So you got to just keep going at it. My cut's a little uneven, which means by the time I push it up in there, it's going to sit way off the edge. So let's recut it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Taking a little bits off at a time. You want it to look good, okay? So get that up in there, and that should give me a good look. So again, we're going to align the opening in the base, get it over here, and then we're going to mark the inside, the side closest to you. Now we know we need to go from here and cut at a 45. Now remember, this is your first angle. This is why we work around a piece. So we're going to cut this at about a 45, and if it's a little off, don't worry about it, okay? Just get your angle in there. Make sure you're cutting up to that mark. And we're going to feed it in again. You're going to feed this side first. That's so we can press it up in there and get our corner lined up. Feed it across. When we get to this side, you kind of got to be careful feeding these corners up in there, because sometimes they're, they'll get messed up. So you got to really feed it up in there and make sure it's opening up. These like to fold over on themselves. We're just going to keep pressing it. There it goes. Get it up in there. Make sure it's snug. Now one thing you can do, and it's something that I don't really talk about, is you can take this and slide it down a little bit. You don't want to do it too much, because you are sliding that adhesive in there. And then if you want to, you can come in here and tap this with a hammer and really set it in. Make sure it's where you want it before you do that though. It's going to kind of embed the metal into the seal a little bit, and then it's going to make sure the adhesive is sticking good. But of course, hammering anything, you can damage some things. So I'm going to get this pressed up in there nice. You can see that fitment. I'll just take the handle of these quick, and I'm going to tap a spot where I see I want it to sit flush. And there it goes. All right. And come over here, we can see how that's coming out. And I'm going to keep working on this. You don't need to see every single step, right? So I'm going to work on it, and then we'll come back to it and see how it turned out. there we go. So again, this isn't perfect, and I didn't expect it to be perfect, but we have to remember what we started with, okay? These rough edges, these, you know, spots where it scraped over, and now we don't have that. So now one thing I'm going to do, and I need to do, is apparently when I got to this end, I wasn't so good at cutting 45s. So my tails ended up a little longer. That's what happens, okay, when you cut a steeper angle, the side's going to end up longer. The tail is what I would like to call it. That's this piece up here. I'm just going to go through with a razor blade, guys, and I'm going to flush cut these, make it look decent. Again, this isn't expected to look perfect, but the idea is when you step back away from it, or I'm cruising down the road, that looks a little bit better on the left than it does the right. Not a ton, but a little bit. We're going to end up rewrapping. Ooh, the wind. Got a storm rolling in, so we're going to end up wrapping the whole car eventually. Okay, so right now we're just getting some of this, you know, fun work done, and none of it's perfect, and I don't want it to be perfect. I want to get out there and go cruising and prove that you can still do a budget build like we used to be able to back in the thousands, before everything was you have to buy the same parts, the same body kits, the same everything. So that's what this car is all about, is building a sick, fun car without breaking the bank, because that's the way it used to be. It used to be do whatever you want to your car and let's go have fun. So I'm on stock wheels. I'm not going to change off stock wheels. I'm going to put spacers in there because I'm going to run spacers. I am on cut stock springs. My side skirts aren't some expensive side skirts. They're literally rain gutters from Lowe's or Menards. I don't remember where I bought them. I believe Menards. My front bumper and this whole setup up here is all a stock bumper cut out because the old lady that owned it before me smoked probably a parking block or something like that in the center, and it crushed it. But you know, you can see in here where that's all broken out, where this is supposed to run all the way back. So instead of, you know, going through and buying a new bumper and a custom bumper and having it painted or whatever, I said I'm just going to send it on the stock one. If it comes out decent, then I'll keep it. If not, okay, whatever, who cares, right? So stock bumper with a sheet of HDPE. Same HDPE I'm going to use in the back to build a diffuser with from scratch. But you can see, like, look, see that rust right there? That probably needs repaired, right? But here's what I'm about to do instead. I have an oil cooler sitting back there that came in one of the project cars we bought, and right here's the stock oil cooler. So we're about to unclip these, run my oil cooler down to here, and have a big old shiny oil cooler on the front. Will it be perfect? Absolutely not. Shoot, I might even spritz it with some paint and match the wheels or something stupid. But that's what this is all about, guys. That's what this whole build is all about, is building a car in your driveway. And I think I have less than $100 in everything that's on this car right now. I have some LEDs inside, LED strips off Amazon, and some toggle switches. So let's just say $200 in everything for lighting and the way the car sits right now. I'm gonna buy some wheel spacers, so we'll be up to what, $300? $300 for the whole build, and I'm gonna go cruising in it. And I'm gonna go have a blast. I'm gonna go have the best time, because what? If I bounce it off something, drag it down the road, if my side skirt gets ripped off, I don't care. That's a $7 side skirt. You think I care if it gets ripped off? God, no. And what's the worst thing that happens, right? Something bad goes wrong and it tears my front bumper apart, because, you know, now right there's the only little strip left of the front bumper connecting the two sides. If it tears apart, then I'll go buy a stock bumper out of the junkyard and do it again. I'm trying to make cars back to the way they were, having fun and having a blast. Actually, you sit here and I'm gonna go get the oil cooler, and we're gonna see how that looks. God, look at that thing. Look at that. That looks good. You can't tell me for 1 minute that I didn't a good looking car. And it's mostly stock. What do you think, guys? Slap that big oil cooler in there? Now, I think if I'm going to put an oil cooler in there, I'm going to go get one of them little bitty ones off Amazon. You know what I'm talking about? The crappy looking ones. Just the tiny little squares. Because if you look at the oil cooler that's stock in there, it ain't much of anything. So I think I'm going to get a little teeny tiny one for in there. Let's not forget the air intake we're going to shove out the hood. Just because. Just because. That's the reason. This is one of those just because builds. Like, let's have fun. Let's do things. Let's not worry about what anybody else has to say about it. This is a just because build. Look at that. Tell me that doesn't look slick going down the road. Tell me that's not gonna look slick. Okay, let's just get in here and look at this. Ugh. Tell me that ain't cool. Yeah, that's what I thought. You know it's cool. I know it's cool. And I'm not building it for anyone else. I'm building it for me. I'm having a blast, guys. You know, owning a custom automotive shop to where like you're actually doing things for like what people want quality, like high-end quality, you get so bored with it, okay? I get so bored seeing like restoration style cars. I get so tired of it, honestly. But look at this. That's sick. You know that's sick. So yeah, this is one of those and like remember the old no fucks given Miata? That's what this is. This is my no fucks given VIP build. I'm so happy with it, guys. So get out there and have fun and start building weird stuff again. I'm so tired of all these like high-end builds where everyone's just dumping money into it to buy the same parts that everyone else has. Get away from that. Do me a favor, if you want to show me your project, I want to see your project. Okay, you guys see what I do all the time. I want to see your project. Go ahead and tag me in it, okay? So right here, see the tag? Hashtag HC Racing, Hard Cruise Racing, okay? Tag me in it and I want to see it. If you guys are YouTube creators, tag me as well. Throw that tag on your link and I'll go check out your content. And do me a favor, subscribe to my content, okay? That's for me. Now that you watch my videos and when you search other videos like my videos, my content's going to pop up on your recommended timeline anyways. But that follow, that subscribe, that's what helps me out, okay? So help me out and subscribe and go out there, build cool things. I hope I see you guys at car shows. If you see me at a car show, you'll know it's me. If you see me at a car show, come say hi. And let's make cars fun again, right? Go out and have a good day.